Hi there, and welcome to the Web Dev Room. Those of you who are still in your offices, there's quite a storm going on outside. I think most of the offices are closed. At any rate, today's session is WordPress plugins. This is the second in a two-part session on working with plugins. Today we'll be working with Slider Revolution, Display Posts, Broken Link Checker, Embed Any Document, Print-O-MATIC, and even though it's not a plugin, Google Calendar. And I'm throwing Google Calendar in there because I didn't really know of another place to put it. So you'll also learn how to embed a Google Calendar in this session. Let's go ahead and define plugins as we did in the first slide of our last session. They are simply third-party applications that give added functionality to WordPress. Some of them are turned on across all CSU extension WordPress sites by default. Other ones need to be turned on by me so you can use them. So if you want a plugin, feel free to throw me an email or give me a phone call and I can help you out. If there is a plugin out there you would like to try that you've heard good things about, or you're interested in a plugin but you're not sure which one you should be interested in, give me an email and we can discuss that. Most plugins use shortcode, which are very small bits of code that adds the plugin into a page. An example here, and this one is already turned on across all extension WordPress sites, is print-me. So the left bracket, print-me, right bracket will add a print icon onto your page. And we actually discuss Print-O-MATIC in today's session, and we'll talk about some of the attributes you can give that print-me icon. We are going to start today with the most complex of the plugins that we're working with, so we can kind of get it out of the way. It's called Slider Revolution. So we're going to work with slider settings and we're going to work with slide editing. You need editor status in order to work with Slider Revolution, so give me a call or send me an email if you need to upgrade your status and you want to work with Slider Revolution. It can be a little clunky to work with, but the results are very, very nice. Over here we have a screenshot of your opening screen where you need to give it a title, an alias, and then it populates its own shortcode given that title and alias. You choose your slider type and slide layout. You want to make sure and be mobile friendly with these slides. There's a couple of ways around there. You can customize your sizes, so you can change the size of your slider for, say, a phone or any other mobile device. You can also turn off Slider Revolution on certain types of devices, which might be really useful for phones since these slides can take up a lot of real estate on a phone. So not a requirement, but a recommendation that you think about turning off Slider Revolution when you're working with phones. And we'll learn how to do that today. When you're done putting in your slider settings, you click Save Settings at top. It's a little difficult to find. There's also a Save button at the bottom that's also a little difficult to find. But make sure you do that or you're not going to be able to go to your next screen. That save, if it works, because Slider Revolution can be a little clunky sometimes, but if it works, it'll take you to the slide editor. So I'm going to go quickly into Slider Revolution and we'll see how this works. Let me do a share of my screen. Now, I usually conduct these webinars as not as myself, so I have higher privileges than I normally do when conducting these, so my navigation might look a little bit different here on the left. Nonetheless, if you scroll down, you will see Slider Revolution. So your first step is simply to go to Slider Revolution. This is a little bit slow. Here are existing slides, existing slide shows. So let's go ahead and choose one. We're going to choose New Slider and start from scratch. And here we are. Your content source, because we are not premium, is default slider, which is all we have. Our slider name here, I'm going to call SR5 for Slider Revolution 5. I'll enter my slider, my alias is the exact same thing. And notice that the shortcode is filled in with left bracket rev underscore slider space alias equal, and then in quotes SR space 5 and the right bracket. So this is the short code we'll end up using. You have 3 slider types to work with here. We're going to go with the standard slider, and we're going to go with an auto layout. Now you have 4 representations here of desktop, notebook, tablet, and mobile. And as you go between auto, full screen, full width, and full screen, you can see the differences here. I would strongly suggest going with auto so that your slides can auto adjust to what's going on there on that end user screen. Now at any time, because we're auto, these are auto sizes, but you can turn off the auto size, let's say for mobile here, and define your own grid size for this particular resolution. I'm going to keep this on auto, and I'm actually going to cancel out mobile when we start editing the slide itself. And that's really about it. In order for our options, overflow's hidden. We do want to respect aspect ratio. We don't need a minimum or a maximum height. So I can save down here where it says Save Settings. I can also save in the upper right-hand corner. The save doesn't always take. So you've got to make sure that you're saving your content before moving on. So if you have saved your slider settings correctly, it'll automatically take you to the slide editor, which is where we are. So far, so good. We click on this slide, and we're ready to begin. If you have more than one slide, then you can tell by the darkened bottom of the slide which one you're working on. So we're going to go to background image, and we're going to go to change image to set our initial image. And we'll use with one that has some darkness in it. And then when we move below here, we have our actual image. Now I can just leave this as is as a slide, and I can set my timing right here. What I want to do now, though, is add some text. So with style selected, I'm going to go to add layer, and I'm going to choose text HTML, and I will type in visit our demonstration garden. Now I don't need to select this to make changes, but I can see those changes demonstrated not here in this text, but in the text on my slide itself. So I'm going to take the size of my type, I'm going to crank it up quite a bit. I'll click somewhere to accept that change, and you can see the text respond accordingly. I'm also going to change my line size, the space between my lines as well. And now I'm going to collapse this a little bit so it's 2 lines. And we're going to drag it over here to the darkest part of our screen. Let's go a little bigger on this. So I'm going to choose this slide, and then I'm going to crank up my font size to 50. And I'm going to make this a little wider so we have 2 lines. And I'll move it over here, and I think we're ready to go now. My animation is next. You don't want to go too crazy here. By default, here's your fade in and your fade out. These happen pretty quickly, a little too quickly for my taste, frankly. So I'm going to, again, I needed to click inside my text there. My apologies. So you have several options here in terms of the animations in and out. I will make these a little crazier than usual, as I would recommend simply using fades. But we can go short from top as our fade in and short from bottom to bottom as our fade out. We can play this. It's a little too fast, so I'm going to slow down the speed by about 3 times by going from 300 milliseconds to 1,000 milliseconds. And that's our animation. If I go to loop, I can disable or enable whether it's a looped slideshow. Visibility is the one I've mentioned a couple times now, and here is where I can turn off the slideshow for phones. And I suggest doing that because Slider Revolution takes up so much screen real estate. If we go to the bottom here, I can work with my timings. So this is my initial slide. That's the 3/4 of a second fade in for the slide, and here is where the actual title comes in. So I'll bring it in 1/2 a second after the slide shows, and I will end it 1/2 a second before the slideshow ends. So we can play the slideshow. It's simply hitting play down here, and you can see the scrubber there move along these 2 lines. And that is how to build a slide. When you're done with your slide, you click Save Slide. And then to add more slides, you click Add Blank Slide. Let me show you what this looks like in practice. So let me first go back to slider settings. It's okay to leave the page because we've saved our changes. This is how to get to your short code if you didn't remember it. And our short code is right here. So I'll copy that, though I don't actually plan on using this. Let's look at the page first. I'm going to go up to Pages. I'm going to go to All Pages, and I'll first show you a slightly more complex slide. So we'll go to Slider Revolution. Right here, we'll first view the page. And this is a 2-slide demo. With simple fade ins and outs for our text. Notice that I have content below and after this, so it doesn't affect your content at all. And this one's on a loop because it loops back to that first slide. So let's look at our code. And again, it's insanely simple. Here's our page. Here's our header. Here's our Latin text. And here's our short code right here. So I could replace this with the short code of the slider we just created. Click Update. And again, Slider Revolution's quite slow. Now we're ready. You can click Preview Changes. I find it best to actually go to the URL itself right here. So I'll click that, and we'll see our page with our new slider added. And here we have the one that we just created. Okay, let's continue. If you have any questions, please use the chat pod. Otherwise, I'm going to go on to our next plugin. So here's how to do the slide editing. So this will be on the PDF on my site if you want to look at that. Display posts is our next one. This displays a list of most recent posts. Now again, there's a difference between a page and a post. A post is a blog post. They tend to come in backwards consecutive order, so whenever a new one's added, it shows up at the top of your blog page. And this allows you to create a page to display posts. Display posts in and of itself, so simply this small piece of short code, display-posts in between brackets, displays a list of your most recent posts. Now you can do several things with attributes within this shortcode, and we'll look at all of these in practice in just a second. You can filter by specific categories. So after display-post and a space, category equal, and then in quotes, the name of a pre-existing category, a category you've already created, will only list those posts that contain that category. Now, posts can have more than one category, so you actually could name a category that includes all of your posts, but this will help filter it, or not help. This will filter all of your posts by category, and you can use any existing category you have in WordPress. Display your most popular posts by comment count after display-post and a space, order by equal, and then in parentheses, in quotation marks, comment underscore count. And these has the brackets on both sides. To display an excerpt and a thumbnail, display post, space, include underscore excerpt is true, and image size equals thumbnail. Now you can use different sizes than thumbnail. You can use medium, medium large, or large. So if you want to work with excerpts and larger image sizes, you can do that simply by changing the image size to medium, medium large, or large. And there are other attributes you can add in, include date, which includes the date of the post, include content, which is the entire content of the post, and I actually have this demoed on our next screen. There's a lot of permutations and a lot of different attributes you can put into a display post. So the full documentation is right here, and again, this PDF is available, or this PowerPoint is available as a PDF on my website by the end of tomorrow. So let's see what this looks like. I'm going to go to my main screen, and we'll go back to our pages. And we'll look at several flavors of display post at once here. So I'm going to go to all pages. And we have the display post page right here. I'll first simply view it so we can see what these look like. So here's the most basic display post. This is your 5 most recent posts. These are, I don't actually post on my own site, so these are sort of demo blog posts. So this displays all of them. This is filtered by category, so this is 4 of the 5. These 4 have the category of engagement. By comments, these are the same posts, but they are in order of number of comments. This is the include excerpt followed by the attribute image size thumbnail. So we have the 5 posts right here. Notice the downside here is that that center line, or that first line of text, is centered and the rest of it goes below the image, which is not a very nice look. And there's no way to work with that within a display post. And then the final one here is simply the include context attribute, include content attribute. You don't need to add an image size because the image is considered part of the content. So we have our image followed by our text. And here are all 5 of our posts. So let's look at the syntax really quickly. I'll go to edit page. And this is really simple stuff. These are all simply headings I have that we saw in the previous page. Display post is the plugin at its most basic. Adding category equal engagement allows you to only use those posts with the category of engagement. By comments, you use the order by equal comment underscore count being in quotes. Include excerpt and thumbnail. This has 2 attributes. Include excerpt is true and image size is thumbnail. And then including content, you simply put include underscore comment equal and then true in parentheses. So that is how to work with display posts. It's a nice, easy way to display all your posts on one page, and there's a lot of functionality in terms of attributes you can give any list of posts. If you have any questions, use the chat pod. Otherwise, I will continue. So broken link checker, you don't have to do anything. I'm telling you this because it's a really cool tool, but you need to know where it is. I strongly encourage you to check this at least once a month as you would any other aspect of your website, just to see if your links are broken or not. It's a really easy way to make sure all your links are working. And also, incidentally, if you have a broken link on your site, it will automatically cross that link out, which is bad news for you because it tells the end user that that's no longer a working link, so it kind of messes with your credibility in terms of being a website. But it's good for that end user because they're not going to click a link and find it broken. So please be checking your broken link checker at least once a month. Tools and broken links is where to find the results. So we will go to Tools, and we will go to broken links. And I'm sorry, I didn't do a share before I did that. So let me go to my main screen. There we are. I went to Tools, and I went to broken links. And you may think this isn't working because there's nothing there, because I have no broken links. This will, by default, open up on broken. If we want to look at all of our links, we click All, and we'll see the 221 links on the site with some basic information about them. Right here, it hasn't checked that last one because it's fairly new, but all the other ones are checked, and I can tell by looking at this that it is indeed my email address. Broken links, we already saw. There's nothing there. And the only other one to look at, we need to wait on broken links because we know that's empty. If we go to redirects, this simply shows you redirects, which are entirely either files that I'm linking to that I have uploaded to my media library, or in most cases, actually, they are named anchors. The named anchors is not something I'll go into today, but a named anchor is where you have hyperlinks to different spots on the same page. I call it the one long page strategy, where you can click links at the top. They take you to somewhere down in the interior of the page and typically give you a back to top link so you can access that table again. And here are examples of that. Anytime you see the hashtag followed by an abbreviation, you can tell that you're working with a named anchor. And we'll explore named anchors in future lessons. So again, this is not something you need to do. It's already enabled across CSU. I just strongly encourage you check it, and to just throw a little bird in your ear, that end user will see a crossed out link if you have a broken link on your site, which is going to hurt your credibility as a website. Let's keep going. I will return to my PowerPoint. Embed any document I find deeply cool. I assume you all already know how to create a document link after you upload, say, a PDF, and we're pretty much always working with PDFs if we're working with documents in WordPress, that there's a link attached to that PDF. So to create a link to a PDF, you simply use the URL from the media, from your media library, and you have the end user click that link to get to the document. You can, however, embed a document into a screen, either by uploading or by using a URL. It embeds the document inside the page, so the actual document appears in a separate window in the page, so they can visually see the document as they open the page, as opposed to merely seeing a link. So it's a really nice way to present a document to that end user, particularly if it's important information that you want them to see. You'll see that you have the options of Google Docs or MS Office viewers. Google Docs is probably the preferred one. Google Drive is the preferred one because we know that end users don't need to pay for that. They might not have MS Office. It supports PDF and Excel. I think everything is best converted into PDF anyway. It doesn't support Word, and it doesn't support PowerPoint. So let's do a share and hit our main screen. I'm going to go back to all of our pages. First, look at the Embed Any Document page. So here's an embedded document, and this is the CSU Web Accessibility Policy, and this is a PDF created from a PowerPoint, and that end user can simply scroll through the slideshow right there on the page. So it's a much nicer and easier way to show that end user visually show that end user a document right away. Let's look at the code here. We'll click Edit Page. The syntax is a little complex and it's utterly unnecessary because you have this button right here. So this is the short code for this plugin. I'm going to delete this and we'll start from scratch. I'll click Add Document. I'm going to upload the document. It's got to be something already existing in my media library. And we'll choose the same one, assuming I can find it quickly. And here we go, accessibility training. So we'll select that and click select. This is what I talked about before in terms of the Google Docs viewer or the Microsoft Office Online. My preference personally would be the Google Docs viewer. Here is the short code to use. We're going to keep width and height at 100, and the download link is for all users. So we'll click Insert. That creates the short code, and we're good to go. Click Update. Bear with me, my bandwidth appears to be a little bit slow today. And then once it's updated, we'll quickly click the link. And here's our embedded document. So it's a really nice way to present a document, and they're much more likely to look at it than they are, say, to click a link on your page. Let's keep going. Go back to our PowerPoint. Print-O-MATIC is the one we saw at the very, very beginning. It's really, really simple. There are a few attributes to work with. Print me, and that's all you need, literally those 10 characters. It's going to produce this icon on the page so that an end user can easily print the page by clicking the icon. You have some attributes, alt equal, and then your rollover alt text in quote marks. Right here, click me to print, click icon to print would be better than click me to print here. The rollover text doesn't work very well, as we'll see in a second, but it's still useful because you're still dealing with accessibility issues in a correct manner. You're giving alt text to this icon. So even though I believe in this case the click is all we see of our rollover text, click me to print is still showing up as a alt text for this icon. Print me followed by space, target equal, and then the word body in quote marks will just print the body of the page. I'd strongly recommend using this one, or at least giving the end user an option of using this one. And these last four are simply the size and color of the icon itself. POM stands for Print-O-MATIC, so print style equal, and you can go palm small black, palm small gray, and palm small white. We'll quickly look at these. These are going to stack up a bunch of icons on top of each other, which I do not recommend, but I'm simply showing you here what your options are. So we'll go back to our main screen and back to all of our pages. So we'll go to all pages and we'll look at Print-O-MATIC. Let's first view the page where you see all the icons stacked up together like firewood. So here they are. Here are the first three. This is the standard one. This one has our alt text. Notice just the word click is there. That doesn't mean your alt text is not working for text-to-speech browsers. So I recommend always putting the alt attribute on your Print-O-MATIC shortcodes. This one is for printing just the body of the page, and these last three are different colors and sizes of your Print-O-MATIC. And if we look at our shortcode itself, it's very simple stuff. They all start with print me, and then here is the alt text attribute. Here's the target equaling the body of the page attribute. And then here are several different print styles right here. Small, small black, small gray, and small white. And my content is below. So that's how to add a print icon quickly and easily. Go back to our PowerPoint. Google Calendar is our last one here. This is not a plugin, but it's a question that comes up enough so that I thought I would explain how to work with it today. Now, unless you have admin rights to your site, you're not going to be able to use actual iframe code at all. But there's a really easy workaround. You first go to Google Calendar, go to Settings and Sharing, make sure that it's available to the public, which is a really common mistake, one I've made myself, and then copy your embed code. The embed code will start with the word iframe. Take that code, you change the greater than and less than characters to brackets, and then you drop that closing tag, which is the / and iframe. So this is the code that comes from Google. Notice we have the opening tag here, the closing tag here, and then we have that closing iframe tag right here. So we lop off that iframe closing tag. We change this greater than and this less than characters. And I'm going to keep this off of full screen for just a second. And so this is your ending code. So the reason I have this off of full screen is I'm going to quickly grab this text so you can see how it works. We'll go back to full screen. And now we will do a screen share of my other screen. Go back to all pages. And we'll go to calendar. We'll first view it. So here's our calendar. There's a mistake in this calendar in that it's too big, it's too wide. You'll notice it encroaching into the right space here. So I'll teach you how to correct that as well. First, we're just going to go in and edit page. Oh, I'm sorry. We don't want to do this yet. What I first want to do is show you where to get the code in Google. So I'm going to go to Google Calendar, my own Google Calendar. And this is how you get the code. So I'm going to go to Jeffrey Wood. I'm going to go to the three dots. I'm going to choose Setting and Sharing. So A, you want to make sure that it's available to the public. So you want to be able to make sure that's clicked under Access Permissions. And then you go down here to your embed code. This is the one that begins with iframe. We right-click and copy it. And we'll do it this way. So that's how to get into a calendar. Use the three dots to get to sharing and settings. Make sure that you set that it is publicly available and that then you copy your embed code right here. Now we will go to our page and we'll paste this code in. Now this isn't going to work. So we're going to do four things here. We're first going to lop off that closing iframe tag. We're then going to change this right greater than sign to a right bracket. We're going to change this left sign to a left bracket. And then the other thing we want to do, my width is at 800, which we saw before was too long for that web page. And I can just go in here and change it manually. I think it would take up to 650, but 600 is the good round number I like to work with. We'll update this. And then we'll click the URL. And here's our calendar, and it's correctly sized. We have a little bit of extra space right there, but I think 600 pixels is a nice, safe one to work with. If you have any questions or comments, please use the chat pod. Otherwise, thank you for showing up, and we'll see you next month.